Yep, saying that it's live.
You're good.
Very good. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We'll now begin our regular or our special council meeting of the Township of Cavan Monaghan on this Monday, July 20th. My apologies that we were a little delayed getting started. But nevertheless, with technology, we are now up and ready to go. I see that we have 3 attendees in addition to our participants in today's meeting. So I call to order the regular council meeting of the special council meeting of the Township of Cavan Monaghan. I look for the approval of the agenda.
With an adoption, correct?
Absolutely, with the addition of a revised planning justification report. Any other additions? Just scrolling through. Madam Clerk, nothing additional other than that?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, very good. Motion then from Deputy Mayor Graham and Councillor Belch. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. I now ask that any members of council declare any pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof at this time or when the situation arises. Seeing none, there is no closed session, so we will move right along to our public meeting. I need a resolution to open the public meeting. Motion by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Huntley. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Item 6.2, report planning 2020-17, Cameron Duguay and OPA and ZBA report. Mr. Connolly.
Your worship, through you to council, I have before you planning report number 2020-17 and before you today, and the recommendations are: 1, that council review and consider all verbal and written comments received at the public meeting, and 2, that a planning report assessing the merits of the official plan amendment application and the zoning bylaw application amendment application be presented to council for consideration at a future date. And the other thing I will make note, and you have in your motion, is that internally, when we put the agenda together, we did attach the wrong planning justification report. That's one that has been provided to you and the rest of council. The public and what was on the public notification, that was the appropriate one, but unfortunately I made a mistake and attached an older version, so I do apologize for that. And the other thing is, you should also note that we received earlier in the planning department today comments from Otonabee Region Conservation. And to summarize that, I'll just take a few excerpts from that. It's a 2-page letter from Don Allen, and essentially says that Orca staff have participated in the pre-consultation and in the draft plan of subdivision processes. Orca staff provided comments regarding the draft plan of subdivision on July 7th, 2020. Based on review by Orca technical staff of the submitted environmental impact analysis completed by Cambium, provided the development adheres to the recommendations that are in that report. The applications appear to be consistent with sections 2.1, 2.2, and 3.1 of the provincial policy statement. The other part of that, concluding that Orca, they'll be provided more detail at the detailed design stage, which is further the process, and they'll provide have provided prior technical comments, and that's in the July 7th letter that they provided that was sent to the township. And again, from their perspective, they reviewed whether or not this particular subdivision was in the Trent Source Protection Plan, and it is not located within an area that is subject to the Source Protection Plan policies. With that, I'll leave it to you if you have any questions.
Very good. Any questions from members of council? Councillor Huntley.
Through you, Chair, to Mr. Connolly. So is the Orca letter stating that they're in agreement with the application? Like in the end?
To this point, other than a few technical details, sorry, through your worship to council, other than a few technical details, which are part of the more detailed design of part of the plan of subdivision, they are supportive of that. So from a perspective of the OP amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment before council today, they are supportive of that.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any further questions? There was just the one comment within the justification report that we'll get to later on, but the report that it's referring to isn't in our agenda, but that's part of the process that's outside of today's discussions. So that although it was referred to, that's not part of today's discussion. I did have a question though relative to the proposed lots. So when I count the lots, I see 14, unless there's the one on the corner. Is there 2 lots that are going to go out to County Road 10, or just one lot that's going out and an existing residence that's staying, that's counting as that 15th lot? I was just confused. So that would be on page 22, which is page 6 of the report, but page 22 of the agenda, counting the structures. That would be to Mr. Connolly.
I believe that, no, there are 15 lots in total, and there is going to be the retained lot, which is the original part of the property. As I see it, no, I can confirm that, but as far as I'm aware, and as I've looked through this, the 15 lots is they're proposing 15 lot subdivision, so that would be over and above the retained lot that's there.
Okay, I'll ask when we get time to the consultant's report. I'll ask that same question in preparation. If there's no further questions, then I'd ask then for if there's any questions from members of the public. So if there's any questions, I can see that we have attendees available. You can raise your hand. Okay, so I have a question from the individual Fabili. So 1 second, because I have to enable you to speak. Okay, go ahead. And just when you address you need to provide your name and your address to the clerk. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Isabella Fabili, 39 Fernridge Heights, and I apologize. I just didn't, with respect to that, I was trying to look at the plan. Which area is that? Because I haven't had a chance. Alana was wonderful. She sent me, I haven't had a chance to peruse the agenda and to take a look. Which area is that? County Road 10 and what? Near Fallis, or is that further south?
It's actually further north. It's in Ida, which is north of the Four Corners of Cavan.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? I see there's 4 attendees total. Anybody else wishing to ask a question at this point? Okay, seeing none. Okay, consideration of the report then for council, or do I have Mr. Duguay, are you speaking to this before I move on? Yes, there we go. Okay, I thought so. Go ahead, Mr. Duguay. You're muted.
Mute. Are people able to hear me? Yes.
Loud and
Yeah.
clear. Welcome, Mr. Duguay.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor McFadden. Thank you very much, members of council, and to Mr. Connolly. While we haven't met in person, we've now met virtually. I'd like to thank you firstly for your report. Mr. Cameron has joined me today. He's on his laptop listening into today's conversation. So thank you for the ability to meet virtually. I have said earlier to Mayor McFadden, I've said earlier to the clerk, as a development planning consultant, I appreciate that the township has been able to process this application in a timely manner. By way of background, Mr. Cameron started his land use approval process in January of 2015. That's that we applied for a draft plan of subdivision at that time to permit a draft plan of subdivision. And shortly thereafter, we then applied for zoning bylaw amendment. As a result of a series of policy changes originating at the provincial level, Mr. Cameron's development has essentially had to await and or has been delayed by certain policies from the update of the provincial policy statement, and then recently the update of the growth plan. In fact, the growth plan has been updated 3 times during the processing of Mr. Cameron's application. So in effect, what this official plan amendment application seeking to do is to return what I will describe as the developable portion of Mr. Cameron's property to form part of the Ida settlement area. It was part of the Ida settlement area up to early January 2015, at which time the update of the municipality's official plan excluded or removed the Cameron lands from the Ida settlement area, notwithstanding an active plan subdivision application. So you have in front of you a zoning bylaw amendment, which would serve to fulfill a condition of draft plan of subdivision. The official plan amendment application is seeking to reintroduce Mr. Cameron's lands, the developable portion, that is that part of his property, subject to a pending draft plan of subdivision, have those lands form part or reform part of the Ida settlement area. Again, it's been a process that's been 6 years in the making. You have heard today from Mr. Connolly and from the staff report that all technical agencies have responded today. Orca has recently indicated that they are satisfied with our environmental impact assessment. They will also comment as part of the draft plan of subdivision and its policies and regulations. They will speak to the details of such things as stormwater management and the like. There was a comment, the county submitted a recent request with respect to a policy matter that is sourced through the provincial policy statement. I have not yet had opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to prepare a response to the county, but it's my professional opinion that you have a parcel of land bounded on 3 sides by developed residential properties, a parcel of land that is the land subject to our draft plan of subdivision application, and the current land use approval application, which is marginal farmland at best. And it is appropriate that these lands be considered to form part of the Ida settlement boundary. And that would be in keeping with the provincial mandate that now allows for the appropriate rounding out of rural settlement areas or expansion through a rounding out exercise. Now, your report, Mr. Connolly's report indicates that the application could return to council at a future date. What I was hoping we could arrive at today is some understanding of what that date may be for Mr. Cameron's purposes and my purposes of scheduling. My schedule, like yours, is becoming very busy processing applications of this nature throughout Central Ontario. So I'm available if there are any questions. Mr. Cameron is here, although he probably won't be speaking, but if I have to refer to Mr. Cameron, I will. I do know that Mr. Cameron is very, very appreciative of Mr. Connolly's report and is appreciative in advance of what we hope will be a favorable support of the staff recommendation. Thank you, council.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Duguay. Any questions from members of council? I did have that one, Mr. Duguay. I'll just go back. Just had to do with the 15 lots. I see 15 spots here. Is one of the lots going out to County Road 10 fronting? And is the second one doesn't look like a new house? Is that a retained house that's making up the 15th lot? I'm on page 22 of the agenda, page 6 of your justification report.
Your worship, that would be correct. So this subdivision would be comprised of 14 new lots, and the 15th lot would contain Mr. Cameron's residence. So 14 new lots in total, and the configuration you see on what I think you described as page 16 is the proposed configuration.
Okay, very good. And so the one up in the top corner, top left corner, that one is fronting onto County Road 10?
That is correct. All other lots, your worship, would have vehicular access directly from the proposed new street.
Very good. Excellent. That was all I had. Any other questions from members of council? Deputy Mayor Graham?
Yeah, I have a question, not for Mr. Duguay or Mr. Cameron, but back to John, if I could.
Mr. Connolly?
Of course. Okay. Just with regards to Schedule 1 on page 16 of the agenda. Curiosity just with regards to, I don't know how much it pertains to, I think I may know how it pertains to the subdivision being explored at this point. But with the lower portion of this property and the proposed rezoning from future development zone to the Hamlet residential zone, I don't really have much in the way of objections to the proposed or the discussion of the construction or the plan of subdivision that's before us today and will be before us again because of the rounding out of the hamlet area. My question with regards to the interpretation of this graphic is with the lands to the south of that and the suggestion that we would be, in addition to rezoning those from future development to the hamlet residential zones. Because I just want to understand how that pertains to this specific subdivision, or is that is there a component of that land that also will be sort of the backyard to some of these more southern units?
Through your worship to council, to Deputy Mayor Graham, no, the intention here is that, again, these lands would not be developed.
Mhm.
So in terms of being the backyard to the lots that are on, I guess when you look at the previous map that we were looking at, those 3 or 4 lots that are coming to or going west of County
Mhm.
Road 10, those would be, they would have a backyard on these retained lots.
So I guess I'm just looking for clarification between the removal of the future development zone to the hamlet residential zone. Just a brief, just a high level discussion as to the catalyst for that change.
If I could, Mr. Connolly, Deputy Mayor Graham, if you look at the map, it just has to do with the
Mhm.
shading. So if you take a look at page 16, the very
Mhm.
bottom, what's area to remain zoned as agriculture, that's the big piece to the south. The
That's
future
correct.
the future development is the one that's up there, that is the 2 lots that I was specifically just talking about. One's the retained and one's the new lot that's going to go onto County Road 10.
I see. And that's the other
future
property that we're
development.
talking
And
about.
so they're
Got it.
designating that as Hamlet. I hope that helps.
Got it. Very good. Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
just, it was inconsistent with the hamlet mapping that I know we've come up with
Absolutely.
in review of these before. So I was cautious about including the rezoning of a hamlet area to further extend that mapping, because I know objectors to any developments or any severances in this sort of area, you know, often cite the mapping and the changes and evolution of it. And I thought that, well, if that's going to be, if that impacts the mapping that is sort of informing and justifying the existence and the development that we're talking about today, I just was curious if this was going to further that in future, but apparently from the interpretation, the explanation, that's not the case.
Okay, very good. Any other questions from members of council? Seeing none? Okay, we'll move along then. Thank you very much, Mr. Duguay. With regards to this report, it'll come back at our August 4th meeting at that point, and then it'll be off to the county after that. So I know, Mr. Duguay, you're looking for a date. It'll be August 4th. With that,
that's
then,
correct.
for consideration of the report, recommendation before us, receive the report and accept the recommendation. We have Councillor Huntley and moved it, and seconded by Councillor Moore. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
yes,
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. I need a resolution to close the public meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Graham, seconded by Councillor Belch. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
yes,
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. We are now go into our next item, number 7, Report Planning 2020-18, Bromont Homes Part Lot Control Exemption Bylaw, Block 132, Plan 45M-256. Rather than have Ms. Ellis speak specifically to it, it's part lot exemption plan that needs to be approved by us in order to then be sent on to the county. It's more of a paperwork matter as opposed to a full report that needs explanation. The homes have already been built. This is part of the process. So with that, a motion to receive the report and accept the recommendation. Deputy Mayor Graham, seconder. Councillor Moore, Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Likewise, next report, Planning 2020-19, Bromont Homes Part Lot Control Exemption Bylaw, Block 133, Plan 45M-256. Motion to receive that report and accept the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Belch, second Deputy Mayor Graham. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
yes,
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Now moving along to item 7.3, Report Planning 2020-20, Proposed Growth Plan Amendments. Mr. Connolly, you're not going to get off so easy. We're going to have a discussion on this one. You ready?
I welcome the discussion, Your Worship. Through Your Worship to the rest of council, what you have before you is planning report number 2020-20. I'm not going to get too many of those. Before you today, there's a recommendation, and that the Township of Cavan Monaghan provide comment to the Environmental Registry 2, Roman numeral I, support the provision of different growth scenarios for population employment. I'm not going to do the Roman I's. Support for the proposed change to the updated growth forecast and change to the horizon year. Support the recommendation and need to ensure the availability of significant aggregate resources and the long-term viability of the mineral aggregate industry. Support reiterating Cavan Monaghan's council previously stated request, and this was as of contained in its February 19th, 2020 planning report, that, quote, the province considered designating the airport lands as identified below in that previous report as a provincially significant employment zone, and the policies be added to permit the addition of provincially significant employment zones at a later date. Support amendments to changes across the provincial planning system to ensure consistency of definitions and interpretation. Support engaging Indigenous communities on planning matters. Support the use of July 1st, 2022 as the date of bringing official plans into conformity with the growth plan, and support the proposed methodology as well as the use of alternate assumptions about population and employment growth. Through you, council, through you, Mayor, to council, if you have any questions, I'm happy to touch on those.
Very good. Any questions from members of council? I did notice one part that I was very pleased with was the indication that although these growth targets are set at an upper tier level, that if planning justification can be provided, you do have the ability to exceed those if you have the appropriate ability to demonstrate the need. So what's typically happened in the past is the numbers get released to the county, and then it's left to the county council to divide up all the numbers amongst each of the member municipalities. What this is saying is you will be provided that at the upper tier. However, you do have an ability at a lower tier to justify a different amount of numbers, assuming it exceeds the overall allocation. So I was very pleased with that. Any other questions with regards to it? I do appreciate the report. It was very thorough. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. No questions? The only addition I would suggest would be, in addition to those recommendations, I would add another one that would forward this report and our comments that we're providing to the province, that we would forward this on to the county so that they would have a copy of it, so that they were aware where we're going. Other than that, I would entertain a motion to receive this report, accept the recommendations with the addition of forwarding it on to Peterborough County Council. Madam Clerk, please make sure it's Peterborough County Council so it goes on the agenda.
Absolutely.
Very good. I saw Deputy Mayor Graham, mover, seconder, Councillor Moore. Any further discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
yes,
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. There is no general business. We have a few bylaws to approve. Bylaw number 2020-38 being a bylaw to temporarily exempt certain lands within registered plan 45M-256 for the Township of Cavan Monaghan from part lot control. And bylaw number 2020-39 being a bylaw to temporarily exempt certain lands within registered plan 45M-256 for the Township of Cavan Monaghan from part lot control. You read a first, second, third time signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. A mover, Councillor Belch, and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Graham. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Confirming bylaw being bylaw number 2020-40 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting held July 20th, 2020. You read a first, second, third time signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Mover, Councillor Moore, and seconder, Councillor Huntley. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Moore,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. And finally, last but not least, a motion to adjourn. Councillor Huntley and Deputy Mayor Graham. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.